Plastic is very simple. Very simple to take it everywhere. You can use it to travel safe. But this in the glass, you cannot use the glass to travel.
James, a trader at Adabaka, telling me his preference between plastic and glass bottles. He tells me plastic bottles are safe for him than glass bottles.
The plastic is good. You see, the plastic, two people cannot use the plastic. Only one person can use the plastic and throw it away. But the glass, you use it, they take it back and go and fill it again. So it will give an infection to people, you understand? But the plastic, you can even throw it away.
I like plastic because of the health issue attached to the plastic. The advice given to us on the radio, so it has gone into our mind that preferably plastic is better. If you handle plastic a bottle, it can just fall down and then everything's scattered. But for plastic, you can take it back.
But it is not everybody that shares this reasoning. Sam is a regular patron at the popular restaurant in the capital city, Accra. He says, with his knowledge of the negative health implications of plastic bottles, he prefers glass bottles.
When it comes to the way we dispose of plastic waste, we don't separate it from the other waste materials. So recycling it becomes a problem, and you go through a lot of cycles to separate them, and cost-wise it's high. So comparing the two, I think bottle will do.
Surprisingly, I came across more people who are alert to the health impact of plastic bottles and are therefore choosing glass bottles.
The main reason why I prefer the glass bottles is that whenever you buy, let's take it for instance, with soda, Coke, and mineral and other stuffs, where they are ready to take the breakable bottles from you. But when it comes to the plastic, when you buy Coke plastic, you take it along, and if there is no substitute for keeping it safe, you realize that they will put it in the gutter, they will put it on the floor, and it becomes dead. You understand? So when it comes to the bottle aspect and the plastic aspect, I think I like the bottle aspect.
Pension for everything plastic, including water, is giving the country a huge headache in terms of managing it. According to the United Nations Environment Programme, plastic pollution is a global problem. Approximately 7 billion of the 9.2 billion tons of plastic produced from 1950 to 2017 became plastic waste, ending up in landfills or dumped. So what do researchers say? Professor William Gordon, a professor at the Environmental Studies at the University of Ghana, says research has shown that people ingest plastic particles from drinking water in a plastic bottle.
Recent study looked at bottled water in about 9 different countries. And they looked at around 260 samples. And they found that there was an average of about 325 pieces of microplastic per liter. So if you drink just one bottle of water, the 500 mils, that means in a year you will ingest about 50,000 particles.
Those are some snippets from our latest Hotline documentary titled Plastic Garbage, a Crisis of Our Time. Well, Samuel Kojo Brace, my colleague who produced that piece, joins us now via Zoom. Kojo, a very good morning to you. I see you're enjoying the holiday from certain quarters, aren't you?
Well, anyway, yes. Just home and watching you guys. So, yeah, some sort of enjoying it from my own quarters here.
You're bleeding our feeling. We'll get into that. But very interesting Hotline documentary that you've put together. And just to wrap, I've been trying to wrap my mind about that. Between 1950 and 2017, and the 7 billion or so tons of plastic waste that have ended up, well, plastic products that have ended up as waste. What really went into selecting this as an area for a documentary?
Ben, you see, everywhere we pass in our environment, you see all of these plastics lying about all around us. So the team then asked the simple question: why are we having all of this trend of seeing plastics lying about everywhere? It looked as though we are not able to manage the plastic waste properly, and therefore we needed to highlight it for those who are placed in authority to ensure that the right things are done will have their mind averted to the fact that it is time they do something, or the nation will risk, spending billions of cedis on managing waste, but we'll just be throwing the money away without achieving the objective. Because if you go on our shores, if you pass through our street, our corners, just look into the gutters and you'll see plastic materials all over. So the objective is to highlight this as a major problem confronting us, because I was even shocked to hear from the researcher that they did a research on the fish we eat, and they saw that some of them contained microplastics. So in effect, what you and I are eating and enjoying them without thinking about any negative health impact, we are actually eating, we are consuming diseases if we want to extrapolate it. Because if they have microplastics, and the researcher makes us understand that these microplastics, some of them are as tiny as the hair, and therefore can enter into our bloodstreams, make their way into your heart, into your arteries. I mean, it is dangerous. I was scared when I heard it. I said, wow, we have not highlighted this aspect of this whole plastic thing. We see the plastic as visible on our eyes, they are in the gutter. But have we thought about their impact on our health? I'm not sure we have averted our minds to that larger context of its impact on our health. So, I mean, I got scared when I heard it, and that's why we had to go to the extent of even pulling out this document from the UN to add it to this documentary for us to really, for people to understand that we are not just dealing with having plastic lying around us, but we are dealing with something that is even going into our bloodstreams without us knowing. So it's a major issue, Ben.
When you speak of these microfilaments or microplastic, I remember watching a documentary some time back about some of those present in even toothpaste, if you are not careful. But when you talk about fish and consuming them thinking we are consuming everything healthy, it also goes back to the fact that we make this plastic, we don't dispose of it properly. Some of it ends up in these water bodies. They are consumed in a way by fish, and we end up consuming the fish with the plastic remnants in them. So quite a situation. But from the Ghanaian perspective, Kojo, I also found it interesting when you went out there and you were speaking to people, those preferring glass over plastic and those preferring plastic over glass. I don't know, though, whether a lot of them had a very good understanding of some of the issues. Because when Prof spoke about leaching, for example, so for me, if I purchase bottled water that is in a plastic container, and if I leave it, let's say, in my car for a while, sometimes you go and you pick it up and you see that it's warm. You shouldn't take it again because some leaching will occur and it will impact you. So what more what more did you find out in this area?
Yeah, so that is one of them. All this while I was with the impression that when you leave your water in the car and it's for so long, they say it's not good. But really, I couldn't pinpoint what is not good about it.
Right.
Until Professor Chris Gordon then explained that the plastic materials, the chemicals in the plastic material, leaches into the water. So it means that if it's in the car and then I drink it, I'm drinking poisonous chemicals into my system. But another thing Professor Chris Gordon would reveal to us in the entire documentary is that, the inks they use on the sachet water. He says a research they conducted recently indicated that the inks on these sachet water, there are chemicals in them that also leaches into the the water in the sachet. So it means that when we are buying sachet water from the street and
Yeah.
thinking that we are
Yeah.
drinking something healthy, we may be injecting our system with a poisonous chemical. So it also tells us of the way we store the water. I mean, if it's bottled water or sachet water, how do the sellers keep it?
Yeah.
Where we buy it from? Do they leave it open to the sun with no other shelter? They have not, maybe people have not understood that all of these things contribute to, the poisoning of the content of the plastic materials. So people would understand that, well, from today on, we need to look at how we store these products so that we don't expose it to the sun such that these leaching will occur. We would also find out, that even the flooding that we do see, and this is something that we know really, but it would add on to it that the flooding we witness in our communities, some of them are aggravated by the plastic materials which lie in the gutters in these areas. So there's a lot to learn from this documentary, and people should look out for this. There's a lot, even for the choices in either you go for plastic or glass. It is also affecting how restaurants make available these products. If we are choosing plastic, the restaurant will then, because we are all going for plastic, will
Yeah.
give us plastic. So you would also find out from this documentary that the operators of these restaurants look out for our preferences before they stock their fridges with the sort of drinks that they do. Um, the people we spoke to, some of them do have understanding of all of these, because there are some three guys I spoke to, and they really had, understanding of the health implications of either you are going for a plastic or glass bottle. So um, not many people really appreciate that aspect. So I'm happy that we've put together this documentary. After today,
Right.
many people will start to appreciate that, look, whatever choices I make, I need to consider the implications health-wise of those choices. So it's an interesting piece that people would have to take time and consume everything, because it built from your understanding of the plastic or glass bottle to what research has found out, to also what the restaurant operators are giving us and what they are looking at today, and then what and Ben, I have to say this: when I went to the Kole, the show of the Kole area, that was my first time of going there, and I was shocked. The sort of debris on the shore, it is huge. I couldn't believe it that, hey, could we have a show in Ghana with this debt? Because from where I'm coming from, I mean, my hometown, Buzia in the Hunter West municipality, you would not find this debt. You won't find it. It's not there. So when I found it on that show, I was like, wow. So I was asked, and I had a young guy, Henry, who opened up a lot of things to me. And he says, look, even if we clear this, give it some 5 hours, the same amount will come. And he was blaming the fact that we've been throwing rubbish into our gutters without thinking that these rubbish will still come by to bite us. So people should have time and watch this documentary. And if you've not been onto the college show, you would see this. You would see, this is not like someone telling you. Visual impression of what we have on our shore. So if you've not been there before, the documentary will carry the show onto your homes, into your offices, wherever you may be, for you to realize that what you do in your small corner in, say, Medina, or say La Paz, or Circle, goes to the extent of coming back to harm you, because you don't know you are consuming this fish with the microplastics in there, and so you are throwing back rubbish and consuming the rubbish back, or the plastic material back into your system. So
In garbage
it's
out.
something that
Or this one will
Okay,
say garbage out, garbage out, garbage in. What you are throwing out there will come back to haunt you. Thank you so much, Kojo. But just give us very briefly, when should we expect this piece later tonight? At what time is it airing?
Oh, it airs at 8:30 p.m. On the JoyNews channel.
Thank you so much, Samuel Kojo Brace, for joining the conversation. And of course, that latest Hotline documentary titled Plastic Garbage, Crisis of Our Time. And that was produced by Samuel Kojo Brace. But right before we end the show, guess who's back? Bernice Habu-Beidou Lanza. And we'll be getting the scoop on social media and what you've been sharing by way of your thoughts. Bernice?